Is it ever smart to date somebody who's separated? Like most things, the answer is not a simple yes or no. So I'm going to share my thoughts in this video. Most women that I have spoken to have felt that they should not date a separated man because, number one, he may not yet be over his ex. Maybe they'll reconcile. And number two, he might not be emotionally ready for a relationship yet. And so I do feel, like I said, it's more nuanced than just two options. There are many reasons why a man may still not be divorced. Plus, I don't believe in hard and fast rules. I teach principles or guidelines to follow if you want to go on your last first date. So let's talk about some of those principles. Principle number one is lead with curiosity. Just because a man is separated, it doesn't automatically make him the wrong person for you. Learn more about his separation before making a judgment call. Every person has their own story about being ready for a relationship and what's going on with their divorce. So find out what his story is. And you can start the conversation with a curious question. Hey, I noticed that you're separated. Can you tell me a little more about that? People will usually post their separation status in their online profile if you're dating online. So just ask. I have met men who have been separated for 7 years, 8 years, and they're only staying married to keep their ex, soon to be ex, or not so soon to be ex on their insurance plan. Or I had a client who was separated and he never filed for divorce because he was already living in his own place. He had already been married and divorced once, and he just didn't have the energy to go through it. But he started to date someone seriously, and I encouraged him to get divorced. And so he started the divorce process. So sometimes people just want to avoid all the drama that can happen with a divorce, and they are emotionally ready for a relationship, as both of these cases with the man who was divorced, separated for 7, 8 years, and the one who just didn't feel like going there, but he was fully separated in all other ways. They were both ready for relationships. Principle number two is know your must-haves and deal breakers. Most of us get these wrong, but it is so important to be clear about what you must have in a partner, what type of relationship you're looking for. Maybe you don't want a serious relationship right now. Maybe you are recently separated. Maybe you're recently divorced. Maybe you're recently out of a relationship and you don't want to get into anything serious. Know what you need and don't compromise. A man could be separated and be a great match, or he could be divorced for 20 years and be a terrible match. So you never know, but you have to really know what you need first. So knowing your must-haves and deal breakers is really, really crucial for any relationship. And principle number three is flip the switch. And what I mean by that is to flip it around and ask yourself, what if it was me dating after my divorce? What if I was recently separated? Was I emotionally ready? Was I clear about what I wanted in a partner? Do I want to date a man who's in a similar place emotionally as I was? Well, we don't know what he's going through. We only know what we were going through. Let's say here are 5 things to think about. Number one, what is his emotional state? Is he emotionally evolved, ready to get involved with somebody else? Or is he emotionally still going through a lot with the divorce? Number two, is it a contentious divorce? If it's contentious, you're going to probably be getting a lot of the drama on your end. And do you really want to go through that? Do you want to be with somebody who's going through a lot of stuff? He may be an amazing person, but it might be hard to be with him. Number three, what's his living situation? There are people who are completely out of the house and living on their own, and then there are people who are still living in the same house. When I was separated, I lived in the same house for 3 years. We lived on separate floors, but we were living in the same house and we were fully separated. So I didn't start dating until my divorce, but some people will start dating when they're in that kind of situation. You have to decide if that works for you. Number 4, what's his financial situation? A lot of times when people are going through a divorce, their finances are all over the place. They are splitting finances, they are rebuilding wealth because they have had a spouse who took their wealth, took most of the wealth. They weren't prepared for the future. Whatever it is, it could have an impact on you. So think about that. And the 5th thing I want you to think about is his custody agreement. If you are fully empty nest or you have older kids, if you have a wonderful custody agreement, and you want to be with somebody who's on the same page as you, really look at what is his custody agreement. I've had clients who have dated men who are separated and going through a difficult divorce, and their kids are with them 50% of the time. So it becomes really hard to date if they don't have childcare, and then it takes a very long time to really get to know a man. His allegiances are all over the place. He's emotionally devoted to his children, as he should be, and he also wants to be with you. It can be really challenging. So, like I said, there are people who are separated and emotionally available for a relationship, and there are those who are not. So, if you really want a serious relationship, know what you want and need first. Ask the right questions and go in with an open mind, and you just might meet your last first date.